James, can you do a big clap in front of your face? Perfect. Okay, mate, in your own time.
One word to describe James Milner.
Legend.
Unique.
Consistent.
Dedicated.
Intense.
Brilliant.
He just loves to win.
I think he's everything you'd want to be in a footballer.
The Premier League loves James Milner.
Goodness me! He has done it again! James Milner's the name.
Milner looking to get inside Neville. Oh! That is an absolute stormer! Milner letting fly! That is special! It's Milner to strike! That is perfection! Milner! That is the perfect beginning for Liverpool! Milner! Oh, that's a terrific strike!
Hi James, congratulations on breaking the all-time Premier League appearance record and how hard it is to keep going. You've done phenomenal, so well done.
To be appreciated by your teammates and appreciate what you give, that's pretty special.
England's future looks healthy, and here at Leeds United's training ground, they reckon they're once again grooming tomorrow's World Cup stars.
The board now are realising that you've got to have your money in your academy, you've got to believe in it, because the spiralling costs of everything within the game, I think you've got to try and bring people through that you've blooded yourself.
Yeah, it was an amazing time being in the academy, and then you've seen the likes of those guys come through. Remember Alan Smith scoring with his first touch at Anfield. He was my hero. You know, growing up then at that point, he'd done what we all wanted to achieve, being a season ticket holder from being really young and going with my family. And as a Leeds fan, you know, it was a dream really being at the club and being in the academy of a team you supported.
James had the mentality that you would associate with an older, good professional.
Lucky enough to sign the old YTS back then at Leeds, and then we ended up sharing a room together. It was only Phils and Orsies, and then I think it was on the old PlayStation. We had a snooker game and we were obviously competitive and trying to get 147.
It was a training session basically, and this young lad got called in, and straight away you're all having a look at him, you know, what's he like, who's he, whose team's he going to be on. I would say 10 minutes into him coming over from, I think it might have been under 12s then, how old was he? He's only like 16, wasn't he? He did this one thing straight away and everyone straight away went, oh, who's this lad here?
Young James Milner's only 16.
I think I was going to get on, and to be fair, Terry gave me the nod to go on. Lee Bowyer passed me a ball, went back to goal, and I tried to pass it back and passed it to Paolo Di Canio, and he put it over the bar, thank God. And just remember Bo afterwards asking, did I have a bet on 4-4? I can't remember too much about being nervous playing against other Premier League players, because for me Leeds were an amazing team, and seeing Wayne Rooney doing what he was doing at that time, that obviously showed you again it was possible and someone else was doing it, and made you even more eager to go and train really well and take your chance when you got it on the pitch.
Goal for Leeds, and it's the youngster James Milner.
He's travelled a long way to get in the 6-yard box to finish that off, and I think that is typical of the type of player he is.
No, we're there to put the boots out. We're there to pick the drinks up, you know, go get the slips for the first team lads and pick things up off the floor. And he got the shout that he was on the bench.
He was so strong in his own mind about what he wanted to achieve, what he did in the game. When he was playing games, he knew what his job was, and he got on with it.
Next thing you know, he's on the pitch and sitting Marcel Desailly on the floor.
Goodness me, he has done it again. James Milner's the name.
We were just obviously absolutely buzzing for him to score that and to be 16, and which was obviously huge.
It wasn't so long ago that the Leeds-born lad was strutting his stuff on his school playing fields. Now he's on an altogether bigger stage.
What I like about him is the awareness of other players, like Beckham.
They're young, gifted, and in a short space of time, James Milner and Wayne Rooney have seen themselves elevated to hero status.
When you talk about Wayne Rooney, you're talking about one of the best players that have ever played. But I put James right up there.
Pretty much blew up, you know, obviously in the papers, and people ringing the house, wanting to represent you, and I think people turned up at the local cricket club we used to go at to all the time and asked where I lived, and people said we'd never heard of him and lied and things like that. I was in a school hall doing my GCSEs like 5 months before that, and all your mates go to watch Leeds, and then you're playing on the pitch and scoring goals in front of them.
He was dubbed the new Wayne Rooney. Now Leeds youngster James Milner finds himself at Swindon, playing alongside Tommy Mooney.
I got a phone call, asked if I wanted to come down, and jumped at the chance really. It's not that big a jump for me, it's still a good standard in Division 2 and hopefully I can prove myself down here.
Kevin Blackwell, the assistant, rang me one afternoon and said, you know, do you fancy going on loan to Swindon? And I said, well, it doesn't look like I'm getting much game time here, does it? So I may as well. Played 6 games, done pretty well there, full of confidence, scored a few goals. The lads there were brilliant with me. And whether that gave me the confidence or to go back to Leeds then and you know, whether the manager saw what I'd done at Swindon or whether the team was struggling without when I wasn't there and I came back in and then I got in the team.
He wouldn't have been scared of doing that, you know, he was very outspoken and confident lad.
No doubt the Swindon one will have toughened him up a little bit.
Should we have spent so heavily in the past? Probably not. But we lived the dream.
The club, who only 3 years ago were in the Champions League semi-finals, are going down.
A lot of things been going on at the club, so you just got to get on with it.
I think a lot of players loved the club and didn't want to leave, but I think it's obviously when all the financial strain started coming onto the club, and I do remember speaking to him and he said there's a chance of him going to Newcastle and basically it's not his decision, it was beneficial for the club at that time.
He was always going to play at the top level, whether it had been with Leeds United or elsewhere. That's the only reason James moved on, I think.
To play for your hometown club finally and be relegated, it was heartbreaking really, and turned up for the first day of pre-season the next year and was told I was going up to Newcastle for a medical, and that was the first I heard of it. I thought I was coming in and playing for Leeds that season, and they said it would be in the best interest of the club if I went and waived the so small amount of money that I was owed, and that was it really.
Would you have stayed if you'd had a choice?
Yeah, I mean, of course, like I wouldn't have thought twice about staying.
New kids on the block up there now. New kids boxing James's.
The arrival of one of England's most exciting young talents on Tyneside is sure to give Newcastle fans plenty to shout about ahead of the new season.
It's unbelievable really. I have to look down the squad list and see the list of names, see the Alan Shearers, the Patrick Kluiverts, the Nicky Butts, the list goes on.
They were doing very well at the time. The chance to play under Sir Bobby Robson, absolute legend. Alan Shearer was one of my favourite players as well. He was obviously up there, and it was a team who was, you know, up and around near the top of the league. You always back your own ability to go in there and make an impact.
It's an incredible amount of young players that Sir Bobby either signed or brought through. I think Sir Bobby believed that that was the way football was going. James certainly fit that mould.
You don't go to a football club to be happy with playing in the reserves, and I'm no different. I want to play as many games as I can for Newcastle.
His confidence probably wasn't in the greatest place. When you're not playing, when you don't feel you wanted. James is a type of guy who's always going to want to play.
I remember having a conversation with Alan Shearer actually, and walking out to pre-season. I'd been there a few weeks, and he was asking me if I'd been in the England squad yet, and I said no, and he was surprised that I hadn't, and I thought, well, he must think I can play at this level. Manager change, I started the season, I played a couple of games, so Bobby got sacked, and then it changes, and a new manager comes in, and things aren't going well, and you want experience. It was a tough time for a young player and moving in away and living on my own.
After rarely getting the chance to shine following last summer's switch to St James's Park, James Milner's had to deal with a move to Aston Villa.
Every footballer wants to play as many games as he can, I'm no different.
He bowled into training, and James was just his own man as he is today. He knew exactly what he wanted to do and to achieve in terms of football.
You knew straight away that he had bags of potential and ability to really go on and be a top player. As a young man, he stepped up at a very big football club where there was a lot of pressure on him to come in and perform, particularly when people were talking about him and highly rating him. How Villa didn't make that a permanent deal, I think they'd be kicking themselves, to be quite honest.
I think we had bid £4 million for him, and in fairness, he wanted to come, and Newcastle called him back again.
Obviously, the agreement was a year long at Aston Villa. That's ended now, so I'm preparing to go back to Newcastle.
It got pulled at the 12th hour on deadline day, which was tough to take, I think, in terms of a club saying they don't want you and then bringing you back, and then again another big test, and it's how you deal with that. Are you going to sulk or get on with it? And the only way I knew how to deal with it was work hard and kick on.
Milner looking to get inside Neville. Oh! That is an absolute stormer!
Pocket rocket, not just in the way he played, but even at that young age, he knew his mind. He knew where he wanted to get to. Nothing was going to stand in his way.
I said, well, there's no way you want to be selling this guy. He's probably first on the team sheet. As time went on, he started governing. He started talking, he started creating like a captain's role. Keeping him off the training ground was one of the things that I found at Newcastle, the willingness to practice some of his skills and improving his skills. And obviously, I think his quality and the way he handled himself as a professional. By the way, pretty good at darts as well.
You want as many influential voices, good professionals, people that you can trust in your team. I think whenever he said anything, I think you just paid that little bit more attention to it.
I had good times there where the fans were amazing and the place was bouncing. I had times also where the fans were showing frustration. You need a bit of personality to play in a club like that at times when things aren't going well. So again, I think that helped me build my character.
Our new offers are coming through the summer. Came down like last night, done the medical this morning, and delighted.
Eventually, when I did sign him, we had to pay a little bit more money for him, like from 4 million to 12 million, but he was worth every single penny of it.
Aston Villa were ploughing a lot of money into a team to try and get them into the Champions League and try and compete in the top four. We had a great core of really good individual players, and we felt like we were equipped to go and challenge.
He was a leader straight away. He was a big voice in the dressing room.
They wanted me, and the hierarchy at Newcastle weren't too convinced in terms of their confidence about giving me a new contract. Kevin Keegan, I think the manager at the time, he was a fantastic player. I was loving my football in front of him and playing well. But you know, the people upstairs had other ideas at the moment, and that was the way it went.
Even a hailstorm couldn't prevent James Milner from practicing free kicks.
He was always questioning players if they haven't put the effort on training. He always believed that you have to train the way you play.
It was like having another coach on the pitch. That's the difference in a player like that. Players who see things, who understand things, but also can give that detail out on the pitch.
Milner! Another stunning strike!
I had a captain at the same time called Gareth Barry, and Gareth was quite quiet but led by example, and James was alongside that.
We're pretty similar characters. Where we probably differ is away from the training ground. He's not got a switch. He won't mind me saying this, I don't think he switches off as much as I did.
He's quite intense in terms of information. He'll be talking to people about if he's playing right wing and he wants to know what the right back's doing.
He's a student of the game and goes away and studies it. How does he get better? Body positions, defending.
His demand on the pitch and off the pitch was really high. We were all having a meeting upstairs in the quarantine. Everybody just taking their coffees, teas. Rather than the manager, James Milner stand up. He gave us a lecture about how bad we are at training. We were all like, wow.
If we can keep improving, hopefully at some point we can crack that top four.
It's Milner! How about that? A laser-guided finish from James Milner.
Massively underrated. I think a lot of people think of him from a fitness point of view and the fittest player in the Premier League and the man who beats the fitness tests every summer, but it's so much more than that. Technically so good.
He would have, they used to say way back in my day, lived right.
Our pre-season used to be wild, and one of the days we had a day off, so we all went out, we had a couple of drinks. Obviously Matt O'Neill found out that we broke the curfew, and the next day we had to train, and James Milner, because he never came out with us. He was in front of all the runs. He was taking people on. He was shouting. He was aggressive, just to show that, you know what, guys? If you go out, if you enjoy yourself, make sure you're ready.
We went to Chicago on a golfing trip. Probably be around about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when the nights had stopped. And bearing in mind we're getting back up at 6 or 7 o'clock to play golf. He'd go for a run at 1 o'clock in the morning because that's when he could fit it in. And I'm thinking, oh, that's where we differed.
We used to do urine samples every morning just to see if you're hydrated. But James took it as a competition. He used to win that every day.
Don't like to cut corners. I think if I always ask questions and about things. If someone says, this is what we're doing or why, I'll say why, and I like to build that understanding. And then if I understand that's the best thing to do, I'll make sure I try and do that to the best of my ability. So if I don't want to miss a run and there's it means a day that I've gone without a run because of whatever we've been playing golf in or something, then yeah, you go out and do it at that time. And again with the hydration, that was the mindset then, you want to win everything you do.
James Milner,
preparing to be with England for the World Cup next month. But who might he be with for the Premier League next season? The PFA Young Player of the Year is now a target for Manchester City.
He has attracted fantastic attention because he has played fantastically well.
James was probably right to move. It was just the timing of it that he had asked about going. I was naturally disappointed because you don't want your good players to be leaving the football club. We were in the process at Aston Villa trying to build and keep going. I think I maybe took the hump a little bit and got irritated by it all, but we got 24 or 26 million pounds for him. But that never really made up for it, you know.
I hadn't won anything yet in my career, and I think obviously with what was going on at Manchester City, it was the right time to go and try and achieve something. They hadn't won anything yet at that point, so it was a chance to go and join a club who hadn't had success for a long time and be part of starting something. And it was tough to leave Villa, you know, that I love playing for Martin O'Neill, what he gave for me and the confidence he gave me. And so it wasn't easy to leave, but again, it was probably the single-mindedness of thinking I've got more chance of winning trophies if to go to City.
I think that James is a typical player that can play in every position. It's not, if you want to buy a good player, you must spend money.
Everybody saw how good he was. We did a deal that saw Stephen Ireland go the other way. It was so important to get James because James was unique in that he could play in so many different positions and play so well in those positions. You know, he was a low maintenance player. When I say low maintenance, you know, you're not always having to, you know, watch over your shoulder. What are they doing next? What are they getting up to? You knew he was always preparing well.
From second fiddle for so long in their own city to top club in the country, Manchester City.
Anytime you win a trophy as big as the Premier League, see other teams win the Premier League and you don't think, you know, you're aiming for that, but you never actually think you might achieve it. So to do it and do it in that manner, in that instant, was pretty incredible.
I always told him when I changed him from his position, you just play as James Milner and you will give us a lot.
They're asking him to play left back, right back, left wing, right wing, centre midfield. He's just going to get on the job. Speak to players now, they used to hate playing against James because he would give no one a minute's peace. That's talked over his ability as well because of how hard he worked and how focused he is. The ability James has got is overlooked, I think.
Players like James can change the attitudes and the mentality of players around them. He would give the best version of himself every day of his life.
Always in Manchester, it's very, very cold. He always worked with short sleeves and short pants. He never put nothing on top of him. I couldn't believe.
They've done it. Manchester City!
Impossible when you have to play in 3 different competitions. It's difficult if you don't have an important squad and you must trust in all the players. For me, James was not only a very important player, but also a very useful player because when you need someone, he was always ready to cover that position.
They're never going to let you down. Always expected standards from yourself and the teammates. He would let someone know if he wasn't happy with them because his standards are so high as well.
The decision to go there and try and help start an era of success there and to be able to achieve that in a dressing room of players that were filled with talent, multi-million-pound signings coming through the door every transfer window, and you know, you get not back down the pecking order and have to earn your stripes again, and that was always a big challenge, but one that I feel like I always did pretty well and always managed to find my way back into the team.
How would you describe James Milner, the person?
Boring.
I went there probably thinking the same as everyone else, the boring James Milner, anything but.
Dry English humour.
He's always the last man standing on a night out.
He's got another side to him.
Doesn't drink, but he's there to the end. If you leave early, you're getting stick.
Obviously the parody account got set up.
It was one pre-season, it came out. Whoever it is, we still don't know.
He counted that, didn't he? Unassuming, humble, great fun, great to be around, incredible company.
A very unique player and a unique person.
James is a wonderful player, an outstanding footballer, but players get linked consistently here.
He knows what the club thinks about him, and we will wait for his decision.
I had 2 years left, and I was looking to stay at the club. One contract didn't come, and then eventually a contract came, and it was effectively a pay cut. You know, in the end, the club offered something which was probably at the time when I'd made my mind up was right at the end, whereas the mindset originally was to stay. It got to a point and it was like, well, might be better off going.
I think at that time it would have been coming to the end of Steven Gerrard's time, hearing that James Milner was going to become available because he hadn't renewed with City. And he was certainly, you know, right at the top of our list of key targets to go after. I got a phone call from Matthew who said James would like you to come out to his house and just spend some time with you, which I'd never kind of had that before. I'd met with players and agents, obviously for lots of different deals, but James was very keen that I went out and spent some time out at his house with him and Amy, his wife. And I felt like I and Liverpool Football Club were being interviewed by James.
I know how I'm going to be when I go there. I'm going to give absolutely everything to whatever club I'm playing for. I'm going to give them everything I have every single day on and off the field. For me, it's what's your intentions and what's the plan, and you know, you're saying this to get me there, but is this going to happen?
Rodgers has spent more than £70 million on transfers this summer. One player who's arguably impressed most on tour, though, didn't cost a penny.
I've been fortunate to play for a lot of big clubs in my career, and with that comes pressure, and that's what you want. You want to be playing at the top level with and against the best players.
Millie's such a good laugh around the dressing room, always one of the lads, but when it's time to be serious and time to work, and then he's on another level really, so he had a really good balance. He's very much black or white, to be fair.
He set the standards in training. I think I seen that from the first day I trained with him. He was the one that demanded standards. He was the one that if anyone wasn't quite at it, they would get told that they weren't. Every day that I trained with James Milner, I don't think he was ever below par.
We clicked at Liverpool. We both got an English mindset. We both want to work hard. We both enjoy running off the ball. I don't enjoy slide tackles as much as him.
He brought relentlessness. He was one of the reasons why, even when we went behind or we took a knock, that we would get back into the game.
He's like the Swiss Army knife of players, isn't he? You're always trying to add, you know, key pieces to the jigsaw, and I think over my time there, I very much felt that we were building towards success rather than expecting it. James and his experience and, you know, his success at Man City, they were all key parts of why he was a great choice for Liverpool.
Always liked him. One of the biggest LFC legends of my time, I can tell you. Without James Milner, nothing of the success we had in last years would have happened. One of the best players and characters I ever met in my life.
He was a huge ally for Jurgen. I was speaking to Jurgen only a couple of weeks ago about how we didn't just have James Milner, there was your Robertsons, your Hendersons, you know, myself. This was like before the Virgil and the Allisons. I think there were just so many natural leaders within that team. It must have been a dream for a manager.
Millie used to do, not a speech before the game, but he used to always be shouting in the change room and things, and I think the players got a lot out of it, but I think Klopp loved it.
The relationship he had with Jurgen, with other staff members, the influence was huge.
If Millie missed a game due to injury or illness, which wasn't very often, but if he did, then you know, you could always see Klopp was a bit lost without Millie's words before a game.
I was fortunate because I came through at 16. So young. If you come through at 21, by the time you've played 5 or 6 years, you're 27 and you're seen as a senior player. I was 5, 6, 7 years in and I was 21, 22. So by the time I got to 30, I had all these years where I felt like more of a senior player than I actually was. I just remember the first getting there, and it was the year we nearly won the league, and I'd been on the other side of that and we had won the league, and it was a bit of a hangover, and that was the first thing for me that I thought we have to get rid of this talk. Jurgen came in. And then it took off again.
Back on top in England, and for the very first time, the pride of the Premier League.
He was one of the huge driving forces for us to be successful in that time. Obviously vice-captain at the time, and the captain just drove us forward, and every game was a cup final, and I think you've seen that with our performances.
Me and him had this like good cop, bad cop relationship in terms of like certain things that would need to happen around the team or the group, and we worked that really well together. I felt like he helped me so much, massively.
I remember me and him having breakfast like the morning after we won the Champions League with it on the table next to us, and just seeing how wild he was around the bus tour at the front. You knew he'd done it before because he knew exactly where the best seat in the house was. It's the same with the trophy launch. He knows not to get caught up in the riffraff in the middle. He's like, to the front, on the side, like almost out of the way, just how he likes it. He doesn't like being centre of attention.
A very unique player and a unique person.
The dream was to achieve pretty much what we did achieve, and you know what are the odds on that happening? Pretty low, I suppose, in football. So to be able to go there and do it, and then what we did achieve was a dream, really, in terms of, you know, things panning out. What's the best case scenario here? And probably stayed, obviously, a lot longer than I thought I would when I signed at 30 or whatever.
Brighton have confirmed that James Milner is now officially their player.
I just felt like I had more to give still. I felt like I could play, and everyone you speak to says you can play as long as you can. That's everyone who had retired always said play as long as you can, and physically I was still pretty good. And Ads obviously was here, done an incredible job at Brighton and sung its praises and spoke to the manager, Roberto, and you know, infectious, love for the game, passionate. And yeah, again, you want to be part of something that's pushing.
Just as I thought, really, an absolute machine, driving, training. To do it at the age he's doing it is incredible, and the more you see him every day in the gym, you see why he's still playing at the age he is.
To have the IQ to play in various different positions, and I think the only one he's not done yet is goalkeeper, so maybe we'll try and get him in goal one time for the last 30 seconds of a game, and then he can say he's completed it. Football, yeah, completed it, mate.
There is a big gap, obviously, in between myself and a few of the boys in the squad, but it's our job to help those young boys reach their potential and as quick as possible.
Probably the most dedicated footballer I've ever seen. If anyone's young coming up at this football club, the idea is look at James Milner, look what he does.
For young players to be honoured enough to get a session or 10 minutes like on the pitch with James Milner is gold dust. It's the best learning there is. Seriously.
The amount of little tips you get from him and just watching what he does, he's probably the best role model you could ask for as a young player. The amount of games he's played now, I think, to still have that drive and that enthusiasm, and he's still so intense in the training and around the training ground. He wants the best for everyone.
Millie always has something to say to me, and which I really appreciate. He always on people, like, come on, try to motivate you.
I see a great role model for all the young players. I see a great leader. He always thinks about new ideas. He's a great supporter. He's a great challenger.
Never any doubt. His record from the spot is almost flawless.
He has an age, and when you see him performing and playing and training on the pitch, you never would guess, if you don't know his name, that he has this age.
In the gym, I was like, is this guy seriously 39?
He's the best professional I've ever worked with.
Off the field, he's more and more important, and help the manager where I can, help the lads, you know, whether they need a bit of a kick or whether an arm around them. They're trying to bring players together who are 18 years old and 19 years old from Africa or from Greece or from different places, and then it's down to us to make them the best player we can as quickly as possible.
Sum up James Milner for us.
Sum up James Milner.
There's so many words that I can use to describe James.
Is that a good word to describe him?
Winner.
Great leader, unbelievable work ethic.
Incredible to have as part of the football club.
To achieve what he's achieved and to still keep on pushing himself, it's an amazing thing to see.
You are friends, so if anyone was going to break it.
Mr. James Milner, yes, his relentless nature was definitely a candidate.
I think the important thing about top players that play for a long time, it's the love of the game and the desire to play at the highest level for as long as they can. James has proved if you keep yourself fit, you can do that.
I hope he continues to keep playing, and even when he breaks it, to keep going as long as he can.
Congratulations, mate. This doesn't mean you need to finish this year. Keep rolling on.
Congratulations, mate. If anyone was going to do it, it was always going to be you. Hope you and your family realise what you have done.
There'll be no catching him, because I just don't think people are made like him anymore.
The odds are very, very low from being a 10-year-old to making it as a footballer, so to play as long as they have in the teams I have and be as successful with those teams as I have, say fortunate. Unfortunate not to enjoy it as much, because we're always driving for the next one. I think that's something you do when you finish. I think that's the thing, that's when you enjoy it.